You're listening to The Bird Bath. This episode of The Bird Bath is brought to you by Anti-US 2026. If you're working in animal health, whether you're building, funding, or delivering care, October 26th to 28th in Boston is where you need to be. Anti brings together the full animal health value chain: discovery, development, and delivery. 500 plus senior delegates, 26 pre-scheduled one-to-one meetings for every attendee, and 3 days of conversation, not to just talk about the future of the industry, but to actually build it. Visit anti-us.com. That's AHNTI-US.com to find out more and use the code BIRDBATH10 for 10% off at checkout. Welcome back to the Bird Bath. Each week we scrape the surface of the news you need to know, so let's get into it. Our first story this week is kind of a mashup of two different things. Lovet, which is the veterinary consolidation group, along with NAPHIA, both have put out reports about what's going on in the cost of care. So Lovet, which owns practices in Arizona as well as across the country, formerly it was AZ Pet Vet, but they've changed things up. And now Lovet is telling us that 91% of people that they surveyed would go into debt to save their pet's life. They talked to 2,000 different owners, and that was the bottom line for them. But the thing that was crazy about this was that 46% of those people also delayed or skipped care due to cost in the last 12 months. A lot of them were using credit or even taking on additional debt to cover bills for things that were happening. 16% of the people that they surveyed would decline care on a $2,000 emergency visit. It's not something that was the first time that we're hearing about, but it's definitely one that is interesting to hear from a corporate group bringing this news to us. Another place where this kind of carries over is that they found that 80% of their clients research symptoms online before they go to the vet. 34% of them go to their online search or an AI tool first, and almost 25% of those people also delayed a real visit based on what they read from the search. So the story here is not just that people are doing the searching, but that they are deferring their care based on cost as well as what they're reading. So the veterinary visit and that veterinary conversation is not the first place where they're making the decision for care, although 91% of them said that they would go into debt to save their pet's life. So kind of a juxtaposition of things. Now, NAPHIA, which is the North American Pet Health Insurance Association, put out their state of report, and what they had was kind of the same thing. Pet insurance is up. They've hit $5.6 billion worth of claims, and they've seen almost a 20% growth of the business in the past 5 years. But only 4.27% of U.S. pets are actually insured, and it's actually slowed down. A few years ago, they were seeing over a 22% growth year over year, and it is now under 10% year over year growth. Overall policy costs are going up. The averages are $836 per year for a dog. Cats are over $400 a year. So two stories here coming at you in the same sort of scope. People are scared enough to go into debt, but only 4 in 10 actually carry insurance. So 91% will go into debt, but that same 91% won't go into an insurance plan. So there's an issue of understanding what's going on and why people are doing these things. A company that seems like they might be trying to tackle this is JAB. So JAB, which owns a little bit of everything, has launched Doubtless. It is a new business that's a consolidation or a merger between and a new rebranding of two different brands that are under the JAB Pet Holdings umbrella. Independence Pet Holdings as well as Pinnacle Pet Group have been merged into one brand now, Doubtless. So this is taking something that I think a lot of people in the industry have kind of asked, what's going on over at JAB, and hopefully put at least a new name on the front of it. And so what they're taking here is this massive portfolio of insurance companies and wellness plan companies and technology businesses and integration softwares and all sorts of things, and bringing them under one umbrella with Doubtless. What they're saying is that they're covering 6 million pets in 10 markets. They have 4,000 plus employees. And Dirk Beekman, who's the executive chairman for JB Pet Holdings and was the president and the CEO of Independence Pet Holdings, is now the CEO over the whole new business of Doubtless. So they're also bringing Claris, which is a new company that they formed last year, and really trying to use this as an opportunity to leverage all of the knowledge that they have to try and bring it all together. So hopefully, from the previous story that we're seeing there, the idea is that JAB and Doubtless now will make it so that you can be doubtless about what coverage you have and doubtless about what business you're able to bring into the clinic, and so that pet owners better able to understand what coverage they have, or additionally, practices are going to better understand what coverage the owners have for the pets, as well as what's available for them across the entire Doubtless portfolio. It's a huge amount of market coverage. Again, 10 different markets and 6 million pets all under one umbrella. And so it's definitely a big thing. So the wrap up here for maybe the cost of care and what all of this is, and we'll never fully wrap up that story, or hopefully we will one day, but not today, is that we're seeing a way where one company is trying to maybe bring a little more clarity to what their full portfolio looks like. And maybe we'll see a way that the additional utilization of softwares and technologies, when it can partner with a full umbrella brand like Doubtless, hopefully will allow us to see a larger penetration of insurance into the market so that people aren't having to go into debt to cover these, and they will have a better understanding of what coverage is available for them, and people in practice will better have an understanding of where they can guide their clients to make sure that they have the coverage that they need. Now, on the pet care side of things, Great Hill Partners has invested in Wolfgang. Wolfgang is a 450 plus locations of bakeries and grooming facilities. The full name, Wolfgang Bakery and Grooming, gives it away there. But the Boston PE firm Great Hill has taken on a growth stake in the company, and they are really looking to make this something pretty big. Great Hill has already been in the animal health space. In 2015, they made an investment that they exited in 2020 in Puppy Spot, which was a marketplace to help breeders connect with pet owners. And now this is something really big here. We've seen a ton of growth for Wolfgang, and they are continuing to grow here additionally, right? It's a 450 plus location business. People are seeing a really high recurrence rate from the data that they're putting out there. They're seeing an average of 6-week visit cadence. It's very easy for people to franchise and move this on. And it's a place where you aren't battling a lot of the licensure and the DVM staffing issues that we're seeing. And you're not seeing the concern of pharmacy. And it's not something that Chewy is competing up against with them. And so it's definitely an interesting business for people that are seeing this continued growth of the pet market, and Great Hill Partners seems to want to jump on board with that and continue their investment in the industry. Now, if you're thinking about franchises and different businesses that people want to look at in the pet space, Dogtopia again has topped the franchise ranks for the Enterprise Franchise 500. Again, they were named the #1 pet franchise and the number 65 overall pet franchise. They were up 9 additional spots. They consistently are this #1 pet franchise. They have 275 locations across the US and another 8 in Canada. The goal that they put out there was to be at 500 locations by 2030. They put out a full unified POS technology system. They have dash activity tracking. They have playroom cameras. They have a super high NPS score of 90. And it's this whole thing, right? People want to take care of their animals, but they have to work, and they might have to wait for an appointment, and they might be getting ads to purchase things elsewhere. But bringing your dog to a Dogtopia or a Wolfgang is where you're not getting that additional competition. There's constant conversation around the pharmacy value in the clinic, and trying to actually create things in pet clinics or in vet clinics that make it something that people can't get somewhere else. Well, you can't do an e-commerce grooming appointment, and you can't do an e-commerce or an e-script on a daycare. But what people are finding is that these opportunities for pet owners to engage with your brands are in a really unique space here. So the technology layer is a big thing. They've seen people watching their dogs play for 2 hours a day, and they're just leaving the webcams up so that they can keep an eye on their pets throughout the day. And so big things happening here on a lot of different fronts. And it's an exciting time for us to see what's happening. And for more on these and other stories, join us by subscribing to our Substack. There's a link in the bio. And don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing and rating the show. For the Bird Bath, I'm Ryan Leach. See you next week.